All right, guys, welcome to Bulls 101. My name is Chris Amundsen, here with my guy, Larro Golden, as always, and our very, very special guest, Mr. Stephen Noh, Retro Sporting News, one of the greatest writers, good friend, back to Hungarian Jordan and obesity on the blog of chat forums. So, Steph, welcome to our trade deadline special. We're so happy to have you today. How you doing, man?
Doing good. I usually consume your guys' show in podcast format, so that was my first time in a while seeing that intro. That was pretty slick.
You could thank, Aldo for that one. He set us up just a couple weeks ago with that new one.
Nice.
Mr. Larro Golden, how are you, sir? How did your tournaments go today with the boys?
So today was a tough one. We went 1-1, lost in the championship game. What I tell my guys is if a team beats us because they're just better than us and not because we're laying down, if we're giving full effort, we're making the right rotations, making the right decisions, and teams still beat you, you kind of got to tip your cap. I mean, on that day, they were better than you, and they were today. They were doing a really good job of being smart and patient in our 2-2-1 press that we put against them. They're just playing really good basketball, making the right passes. So I'm not mad at my guys. I'm not hunkered down. They gave their full effort, and we just didn't come out on top today. But 1-1, it's all right. 500 is good. But yeah, man. Other than that, man, just loving some of what I'm seeing from Vooch. I'm sure we're going to talk about that a little bit, but yeah, man, that's how I'm going so far.
Awesome. Yeah, Vooch has definitely been on a tear recently. Finally, he's had a stretch of really good games. He put up 30 something and 15 or whatever it was against the Pacers. Pacers had nothing for Vooch the entire night. Luckily, he was on fire because Karis LeVert. We also had nothing for Karis LeVert, who just every time he put up a shot, it's like that's going in. But our guy Ayo came through with a dagger dunk at the end of the game, which was really fun to watch live. And he had a career high 14 assists. It's also tied with, I think it's with Josh Giddey for the highest assists by any rookie this year. So he's
impressive.
I mean, he's been a top 10 rookie easily, and I think he's knocking on the door of first team all rookie right now. Also, I think Herb Jones is another guy who's kind of been coming along recently with the Pelicans.
Not on Herb.
Two guys in the second round that are playing like lottery guys right now. So it's pretty impressive stuff.
Hey, I got to show you guys something. I wore something special for the show today.
Uh-oh.
Talking about Ayo. Look at this. You can't see this if you're listening on podcast, but I just showed my custom Ayo Dosunmu jersey that I made. You can't even buy these in the Bulls store. You can't buy most of the jerseys. Let's see if the tape fell off in the back or not. I don't know if you guys can see this.
Oh, it says our guy Luol Deng.
It's an old Luol Deng. Oh, I think the tape might fall. It's an old Luol Deng jersey that I converted. So I got the only one in town, guys.
I thought you were going to get an Arch jersey. I thought you had an Arch jersey, and you were going to put Dosunmu on the back.
As soon as they put those in the shop, man, those are going to sell out. Those Ayo jerseys, for sure.
Man, listen, I've been trying to get the Caruso jersey with the pinstripes. I want that one. I want the white Levine one, and I want the red Dosunmu. So Madhouse store tweeted back at me because I was complaining the other day on Twitter, and they said they're having a lot of shipping issues right now, and they'll try and let us know. But it's like, dude, it's February, and you haven't had any out this entire year. It's pretty crazy stuff. So, but
it's going to keep a lot of for the next 18 years when he starts for the Bulls during that time. It's a good investment.
Man, I love me some Alex Caruso. But it's been fun. It's been fun to watch the Bulls.
You know what? Honestly, I can't knock the hustle of Kris because trade deadline's coming up. Dude's like, I gotta get out of here. I don't care who's in front of me. You getting this work because I gotta show that I can at least score the ball. So I can't.
He was doing it
like hustle
all night. He was cutting off screens. He'd get right into the lane as if you're going to go to the basket, and then he'd kind of stop and pop, and it would go in every single time. He must have had 10 field goal attempts on that.
I think the latest rumor I saw was the Cavs were interested in him, so that'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I think the Cavs have an opportunity here if they get someone like him, or like if they can get a guy like Eric Gordon, or maybe CJ McCollum out of Portland. Like, those are some names that the Cavs could be a really tough opponent. I mean, 1 through 6 right now in the NBA or in the East are pretty brutal. And then you got the Hawks and the Celtics and the Raptors and the Hornets all in the play-in tournament right now. It's going to be a really brutal playoff series in the East this year, but that's exciting. It's what we want. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, they might be able to last 5 or 6 games against the Bulls. That'll be great.
Yeah, I know Larro and I have been talking trash to our friend Andrew Kelly about Bulls in 5 over his Hawks, who are almost 500. So he's almost been able to talk trash now. But
I do got to, before we go into the fun that we're going to go into, I want to get you guys' thoughts on something, and especially you, Steph. You're our esteemed guest, and we would like your expertise. But coming into the season, I think Ayo was somebody I looked at, and I said that there was potential to become a rotation player. But I didn't think this good of a rotation player. But do you guys think that there is maybe like starter potential for Ayo and with this team in the future?
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. I would say he's more likely than not to be a starter like 3 years down the line, or maybe even sooner. I mean, I've talked about this before on some podcasts I've been on, but I think that like draft priors really influence people's opinions, especially like when you're talking about ceiling. And I mean, clearly all of these GMs made a huge mistake, like letting him fall to, what was he, 38?
37?
36? Something like that.
Yeah.
So I think people are like trying to temper their expectations because he was drafted so low. Whereas like if he was, like Patrick Williams, like the number 4 pick and doing this, then you would say like, of course this guy's going to be a starter.
Right.
So I don't know. I just think the evaluators like all kind of got it wrong on him in college. Yeah. So you should kind of just throw those priors out the window, and just based on what we've seen, like I think he's definitely going to be a starter. He could be like a really good starter.
I agree, and the reason why is because we knew that we thought the defense was going to translate. His length, his activity, his athleticism, his on-ball awareness has been really, really good. Off-ball, he still makes some mistakes and stuff, but he learns really, really quickly. Like his progression, even on defense from the beginning of the year till now, has been really impressive. But offensively, I've been so impressed with his decision-making has gotten so good. We were talking, I think Larry and I were texting about this yesterday with Salim, that other than DeMar DeRozan, I think Ayo is probably the guy I trust most with the ball in his hands on the team, other than DeMar DeRozan, to like not turn the ball or not make a really dumb decision. And that's really impressive, not just for a rookie, but for any player at that age and caliber. So I've been really impressed. I can't believe the assists that he's racking up in these games. He's not like some superb passer. He just makes really good, timely, on point passes. And that's all you got to do. You don't have to be Josh Giddey with the ball out here. You just got to put it in the right spot, right in the shooting pocket at the right time, and you can rack up those assists. So I mean, he's been great.
To Mark already.
I know.
I hope he's listening.
Man.
It's about his. He should be awake at this point in the day out in Australia. But So guys, I wanted to address first off a couple of trade rumors that the Bulls have been involved with in the last week or so. The first one was reported that the Bulls might be interested in Dennis Schroeder. Now, Dennis Schroeder was listed as a target for the Bulls in the offseason. They ended up getting Lonzo Ball, obviously, but he's a quality player who wasn't worth as much as he wanted to get paid, but is probably worth a little bit more than he's getting paid by the Celtics. And the Celtics have been kind of a mess for most of the year. So I wanted to see what you guys thought of the idea of trading for Schroeder and what that would entail. The reported kind of parameters of the deal were Troy Brown Jr. and a second-round pick in exchange for Schroeder. So Schroeder is a free agent at the end of this year. So, it's not like a long-term fit. It would kind of bridge that gap while Caruso and Lonzo are out. But I wanted to see what you guys saw that. Steph, we'll start with you. What do you think about Schroeder's potential, and what do you think about that trade making sense or not making sense for the Bulls?
I hadn't heard that it was a second-round pick. That's interesting because the Bulls don't really have very many
That's
second-round picks.
that's my thoughts.
It would have to be in 2027 or something. But yeah, you're not really losing much value. Trading a second-round pick, they usually don't pan out. And then Troy Brown Jr. is. I've been kind of disappointed with him, to be honest. I think he's played okay at times, but he's just way too inconsistent. So he's okay in the regular season, but I really don't see him being part of the playoff rotation anyway when the team is hopefully fully healthy. And then as far as Schroeder goes, I think that this is a really good opportunity to capitalize on the Celtics situation. I think that normally you wouldn't be able to get a player like Schroeder for free. Schroeder does have his flaws and stuff, but he's played a ton of playoff minutes. That he can at least contribute in playoff games. And the reason why the Celtics are doing this is it's just strictly a financial thing to avoid the tax. They're just basically being cheap as hell. So if the Bulls can capitalize on teams wanting to save money and not really give anything of value up, then I think you do it. And I know there's concerns about his attitude. And, he said he wanted to start in a bunch of places. He thinks he's a big star. So there's a risk that you ruin the good vibes of the team if he ends up playing behind all the other guys when the playoffs come. But I think it's just a chance you have to take. The Bulls as currently constructed, I think that we all really like the team, but there are teams that have more talent than them. Undeniably, in the league. So if you can add at the margins, then I would go for it. But I know that I might be in the minority. I know that a lot of people are really just turned off by him.
I was actually in the this past off season, before we knew we were going to get Lonzo, I was all for Dennis. I understand his off the court stuff. There, a bunch of stuff out there, but I just think he provides some point of attack resistance. I think he's somebody on offense that applies rim pressure off the dribble. He's somebody that thrived in a multi ball handler offense, three guard lineups with Billy before. Billy understands how to coach a guy like him because he's done it already. I think he adds stuff. He adds some things that you need. Like I said, if you want to throw a curveball at a team and run a 3-guard lineup out there with Dennis, he's not going to hurt you on the defensive end. You could put him at the point of attack. He's not bad off ball either. I just think, and if you can get that second season of Dennis from shooting from 3, which I think he was 38% on 5 attempts a game. If you can get that, that's a win, man. Especially if you're only giving up a TBJ and a second rounder. I think it's a win. So I'm with you, Steph. I was getting pounded in the Bulls chat that we were in before for even thinking about wanting Dennis. So like I said, I'm with you, man.
Yeah, I think there's no question that Schroeder is a better player than Troy Brown at this point. Now, Troy Brown's 22, and we would have his restricted free agent rights going into the offseason, which can be valuable whether you want to keep him or not. You can sign him to a deal and do a sign and trade and get something back. It's easier than if you don't have cap space. We're not projected to have cap space. It's easier to use the players that you have. to bring in other players in a trade, and so you can use that for Troy Brown. And he's 22, and I think he's shown a lot of different skills. I think most of his issues are mental mistakes and just inconsistency, especially in his shooting. He's always been a good corner shooter. I know I'm probably I wouldn't say like I'm a stan of Troy Brown Jr., but I'm probably the guy who defends him more than anyone else in our circle of Bulls friends. But I've seen a lot of good things from him, and he's really inconsistent. I think my concerns with bringing Dennis in are the shooting, right? The lack of shooting. He's not going to help with that. And more importantly, it's if this whole team is healthy, does Schroeder have a spot in the rotation? And I would say currently, I don't know if I'd play him over Kobe or over Ayo. I certainly wouldn't play him over Caruso or Alonzo in that guard rotation. So the only way that this would make sense for me right now is if you were planning on shipping out one of those other 4 players. And I think obviously the most likely candidate would be Kobe. And if you're shipping out Kobe to bring in Dennis, this is a Bulls team that is already the lowest, takes the lowest frequency of threes in the league. They shoot at a high rate, but Dennis isn't really going to help that unless he reverts back to, as Larro said, his previous form. He was shooting 38% on 5 attempts a game. He does have some familiarity with Billy, which is nice. But I feel like this is a trade that's part of a bigger process rather than the move, right? If we're going to be giving up a player, an asset here, I'd like it to be at a position of need. Even though the guard spot is probably a position of need right now, it may not be in 5 or 6 weeks, if and when Lonzo and Caruso return. So that's kind of my concern with it. But I think it's as far as the talent play, you're bringing in more talent for sure. I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah, I think the spot that he would fill is, Matt Thomas played 27 minutes in this last game. Looking at his box score right now, he's 3 of 9 from the field, and he's just kind of giving them like nothing. I feel like so at 27 minutes is a lot. Like Caruso and Ball, they're probably going to jump Schroeder when he comes back, or when they come back. But in the meantime, you have a month of Matt Thomas playing 28 minutes a game. So Schroeder's way, way better than Thomas. So that would be my argument.
Yeah. So do you want to give up the restricted free agent rights and the possibility of Troy Brown? If he was more consistent, like we've seen him play really well. If he played like that all the time, he'd be a really valuable small forward, I think, in the league, because he can pass, he can dribble, and he can shoot. He just doesn't do all 3 of those consistently. He's also a good rebounder. So is giving him up worth 1 month potentially of much improved guard play from Schroeder, or from Matt Thomas to Schroeder?
I can pass and dribble and shoot too, not consistently, but like if you give me 100 shots, I'm going to make some of them, So I just don't think that his restricted rights are worth anything. Like you can just, if you really are high on him, you can just sign him this summer. Like I don't think the team that trades for him is going to give him an offer sheet, so he's just going to be unrestricted anyway, and then you can just get him on a minimum. So
you guys don't think he'll get like 3 years, 15 million or something?
No way. Team? I would.
He's
bet 100.
He's absolutely worth $5 million. I think he's worth $5 million a year, easy.
Definitely not 3 years. Maybe a team would give him like. Well, I think you have to do a multi-year deal for.
Yeah, it has to be 3 years. It has to be 3 years, but they don't have to be guaranteed. So you can do 3 years with like second or third year, non-guaranteed or partially guaranteed, and execute a sign and trade that way.
He wasn't even in the rotation earlier in the season, Like the only reason why he got back in was because of COVID stuff. So, I really don't see like a huge interest in him in the offseason. Like, I think he's probably going to be one of these signings that happens at the very, very end when teams have already filled everything and they're just looking to fill out the back end of their rosters. So, I think you can get him back anyway.
To be clear, I'd like to move him at the deadline. I just wouldn't like to move him for Schroeder, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's the other thing is like he's one of the only trade pieces you have as far as outgoing salary. So like that's going to be the move, right? Like you don't want to waste that piece if you think that you can get something better, because they only have like 2 real avenues: is like the Derrick Jones Jr. contract and then Troy Brown Jr. And If you trade other guys, then like those are really important rotation pieces that you're moving. So that's the risk there.
Who would? I guess. What do you think TBJ would bring back better than Dennis?
Right now, no, I think he would be filler in a trade for someone with a bigger salary where we need to match that. He'd be filler. That's, I think, where his real value lies at the trade deadline. Otherwise, if you don't trade him for something like that, you can use his restricted free agent rights to sign him to something and trade him for something else in the offseason. Or, maybe he just takes his qualifying or he becomes a free agent or whatever. So let's talk about Schroeder himself, though. I know, Steph, you put together a few clips of kind of what he would provide. So let me add that to the stream real quick. And we can take a look at this for a minute here. So we got.
Can you see stuff?
Sorry, what was that?
Can you see the clip?
Yeah. Do you guys want me to talk through this?
Oh, it's up to you. I mean, you already have those who are words on there.
Yeah, for those who are just audio listeners and can't see, we got good help defense. Yeah, Steph, if you kind of want to take us through your thought process here in these clips.
Sure. Okay, so I think the best way to evaluate defense is just to look at it as a whole and not just look at the highlights. Like you have to basically watch an entire game and just watch one guy.
Yeah.
So I'm writing something on Wendell Carter for Tuesday. So I queued up. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I queued up this Magic Celtics game so that I could keep an eye on Schroeder as well. This is the first play of the game that we're watching here, so it's nothing spectacular, but he's like pointing throughout this whole play. The Celtics were doing like a switch heavy defense for this game, so you can just see like his communication is very, very good.
Yeah,
and like so the way that NBA defense is typically played as far as like help stuff goes is this is also like the scheme that the Bulls play is like you want guys positioned boxes and elbows or at the nail.
Yeah.
As far as like help positioning, and in these clips, like he's always at one of those spots. So I think that's really good. The first clip that we showed, like the first play of the game, like also when he was help side, as soon as the shot went up, he just found some big to get a body on and box out, which I think is also really good for a guy who's so small. I think there's some concerns that he's not going to be able to fit very well on a Bulls team that has so much length, but I think he plays pretty physically, especially given his size. So
can I say something really quick?
Yep.
I also feel like I'm watching some of the Lakers games when he was a Laker. Like I feel like he is like a pretty darn good screener for his size. Like he does a really good job of getting his whole body in the screens and actually doing a pretty good job of that. So that was just something I thought I noticed because I remember it was a close game on TNT, Lakers versus whoever, I can't remember. They needed a big bucket, and the play was set up for Dennis to screen for AD, and he set a great screen, and AD had a wide open layup from it. And I was like, this dude. So I just kept an eye on it, and the dude sets pretty good screens, man. And I mean, with a team like the Bulls that truly only have like Vooch as a screener, that'd be cool to have another good screener on the floor at some points. But yeah, anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt that.
Oh, no worries. And then this next play, like he gets over pretty good, nail help. Like you can see him at the nail, stunt, get back to his man. So he's just he's really smart. Like I was saying this in our little Bulls DM chat that we have is like I think like he's played maybe 5 years in the league or something, and every single year on multiple different teams, he's been part of top 5 defenses. So with the Hawks, the Thunder with Billy. The Celtics are top 5 defense this year, and then the Lakers were number 2 last year. So, I mean, that's not coincidence. When you have a guy that's playing a lot of minutes for all 4 of these completely different teams with different defenses, and they're always awesome. I just think that he's a very, very good help defender that can play any kind of team scheme and just be super solid, which is what the Bulls are missing. Like the Bulls defense has been really, really bad ever since Caruso and Ball came out. And I think a lot of the blame is being put on point of attack defense, which is a problem for sure. But I think an even bigger problem is just the rotations have been bad. Like there's so many mistakes these guys are making because it goes hand in hand, right? Like when the point of attack defense is bad, you have less time to react and close out to guys. But yeah, they've given up so many open threes where it's just swing, and guys aren't zoning up correctly, guys aren't Xing out correctly, whatever it is. Like it's just a lot of mistakes. And I tweet some of these guys out to you guys. Like I think Troy Brown Jr. like he's playing a lot, and we talk about his inconsistency. The way I think about NBA defense is it's kind of like taking a test, right? There's like 100 possessions. So it's like a 100-question test, and nobody's going to get 100 out of 100.
Right.
I think Schroeder is like he's an A in these games. So he's getting 90, 95 out of 100 of those rotations correctly. Guys like Troy Brown, I think they're getting maybe 65 or 70. That's a huge difference. I mean, that's 25 plays where you're giving up an open three, which is that's going to cost you a lot in the long run. And I don't want to single out Bulls players, but basically all of the guards that they have out there right now are in that like C range where they're probably making 75 out of 100. If you can get a guy that's making 95 out of 100, your defense is going to be a lot better. Yeah,
I think you bring up a great point of like all the guards, because like I've been ranting and raving about how well Kobe has improved, but that's to keep it in perspective, that's just him rising from like oh god, we got Kobe playing defense to like hey, like Kobe is holding his own kind of deal. You know what I'm saying? So that's even like you said, like 60, 70 around there, you know? So like I think that was a great way to describe it.
Yeah, I would agree with your assessment on Kobe too. I mean, in his first couple of years, he was getting a lot of stuff wrong. He's probably like a 30 or 40. And yeah, now he's probably at that same Troy Brown Jr. level, which is not, that's a huge improvement. That's a massive improvement. So give him credit, but it's still, it's still costing them points when he's making those mistakes.
Yep.
So they can get somebody, if they can get a veteran that, Chris, you said there's other targets, which I agree with, but just somebody who can get in that B range, it's going to make a really big difference on the defense.
Yeah. And I think that's why Lonzo and Caruso are so important for this team, because their communication and also the fact that they're stalling ball handlers gives our help defenders more time and more time to process where they should be on the floor. And so they're missing less rotations when Caruso and Lonzo are there. And they also have to make less rotations when they're there because Caruso's blowing up stuff at the point of attack. So it's tough. It's tough without him.
I think to go along with what you're saying, Chris, and what Steph is saying, like he brings up the test, and you bring up Caruso and Lonzo. Like when Caruso's out there, he's giving you the answers to the test. Like you know, like he's sitting back there, like, oh, they're gonna run a flare screen here. Hey, you go out, like you just listen to him.
Number 4. The answer number 4 is C. Everyone at C.
Exactly.
He's saying it. Teacher's like, I haven't even given you the questions yet. That's how good he is at defense.
DeMar said that he was like a professor giving a thesis. That was his quote on Caruso. So, yeah, I think that analogy is pretty good.
My goodness, man.
Let's play the rest of this clip, because I know we got a ton to talk about tonight, and I'm excited to do so.
Okay, yeah. This is just more help stuff. Like he gets beat here, but he fights to get back into play. Gets a pretty good contest. So. As an all-ball defender, I don't think he's nearly as good. He gets blown by here. I saw a couple blow-bys in this Magic game. So I think with like speedier guards, they can get by him. Mm-hmm. So when I say that Schroeder is a good defender, I just want to be clear that that's what I mean. And then on the offensive end, Larro, you talked about this already, but he's just so fast. Like he can get to the rim, just blow by guys on the other end. Like if he doesn't even need a screen, like just one-on-one, he can create shots for other people, which I don't really know how much the Bulls need, to be honest, but it's just, it's nice to have, I guess. Yeah. And then that last clip is like him going to the rim and just getting pummeled, basically. So yeah, when the teams do bring help against him, like he can get in trouble trying to do too much. This has been kind of a staple on all of his teams, is he thinks that he's better than he is. So he's like a pretty high usage player who doesn't really have the efficiency to back that up. So that is kind of the other side of the coin, where that's why he didn't get like a huge contract offer this summer. Like what's he making, like $7 million or something?
Yeah, something like that. It might even be
okay, right? 5.8 this season. So.
Okay, yeah. So he's still a useful player, but he just doesn't really know his limits that well, which can be a problem, but on the other side, Billy really got the most out of him. Like he basically revived his career in OKC. So you would hope that they have that same kind of chemistry again, and Billy can kind of reign. I mean, Billy's been so good with every single player on the roster, right? So I have a little bit more confidence that as compared to Ime Udoka, who's been kind of a wreck in Boston, maybe Billy can do a little bit better job with that.
For sure.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, his true shooting percentage that year, that last year in OKC was 57%. So I mean, like, and that's like the best by far.
And that's pretty much average. Like I think 56 is average. So
it's
he takes a lot of shots, and he's a good offensive player for sure. But if he could clean stuff up, that's when you would really think that, man, this guy's helping our offense a ton. Whereas the way that he's played and previously in his career, he's just taking too many shots basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a great breakdown on Dennis Schroeder, and I do think that trading for him can make some sense. The other guy who was in trade talks, or the Bulls were listed as interested in, is Jakob Poeltl, who is the center from the Spurs. Now, Steph, you wrote an amazing article on him in your Hidden Gems series for Sporting News. So I wanted to see if you can give the Reader's Digest version of what makes you like Poeltl so much, and what makes you think he'd be a good target for the Bulls, and then we can talk about trade scenarios that could happen.
I need to get some more duct tape. I need to put a little Spurs thing here and figure out what Poeltl's number is. Because I'm a huge Poeltl fan. As you mentioned, I wrote something for him on Sporting News. I watched like probably 10 of their most recent games, the Spurs' most recent games, to write that thing. So I got a really good feel for how he plays. One of the biggest problems about him, why he's not, I think, more highly regarded, is he's a terrible free throw shooter. I think he's like 35% on the year. So you see teams occasionally, I think the Bulls might have done this actually too, a couple years ago, is they intentionally foul him at the end of games, and then he just lets teams back into it, basically.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen all the time. But the nice thing about if he came to the Bulls is he would be backing up Vucevic, right? So like he wouldn't be playing at the very end of games, and the Bulls would not have that problem. But he's probably the best rim protector, I'd say, behind Rudy Gobert. I mean, he's just amazing.
Yeah.
Like his timing is impeccable. Both of his parents were professional volleyball players.
Wow.
So he has like crazy hops, super athletic. Like he's this like tall white guy, so people don't think that he's that athletic. He is really, really athletic. Moves great in space, so you can play him in multiple different kinds of defensive schemes.
That's
and
huge.
then he's so perfect for the Bulls. Like the Bulls, what the Bulls need in their big men, and this is why Tony Bradley has been not very good for them, is they need big men with ball skills who can put the ball on the floor, who can play in these delay sets, who can pass really well and screen really well and make good decisions. He does all that stuff. I mean, he's really smart. The only basic thing that is keeping him from being like a really plus starter is he can't shoot at all. Like the farthest shot he's taken this year is from like 14 feet. He shoots these really crazy runners whenever he's not shooting layups that actually go in like pretty frequently, but they look terrible. He's not going to stretch the floor, and then the free throw thing. But other than that, like, I mean, if he was a backup, he would. I can't think of a better backup. He would definitely be like the best backup center in the league.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
And my thought on him is, if we were to bring him in, that would probably be his main role. And one of the weaknesses of the Bulls all season we've been talking about is the lack of scheme versatility at the 5 on defense. Because, Vooch, they got him playing a little higher up in the drop, but there's not a whole lot else that the Bulls are doing there. And as you said, he's a big that can move in space. It's really, really good rim protector, which is a big weakness on defense, is rim protection. So he would just provide a different look for opposing offenses on the defensive end, and I think shore up a lot, because you've seen Rudy Gobert when he's on the floor, and the Jazz when he's on the floor versus off. When he missed how many games it was, the Jazz were awful defensively, just completely awful, and they're not good on the perimeter at all. But he cleans up so much of their mistakes. Poeltl, as you said, is one of the best rim protectors behind Rudy Gobert. He could clean up a lot of things that are ailing the Bulls on that end, especially in this interim without our, all NBA defenders or all defensive team defenders in Lonzo and Caruso. Can
you imagine a trio of Lonzo, Caruso, and Poeltl on the floor at the same time? Like what can a defensive what can you do offensive? Like Oh man, I would love that, man. I would love
I
that.
would like to see it, as the meme goes. I would like to see it.
Mhm.
So, what would it cost? So, I pulled up here a trade suggestion that we've been talking about, and this trade, I think, in tandem with the Schroeder trade, would make a lot of sense for me. Where Jakob Poeltl is reported, the Spurs are looking for a good player and a first round pick, and so the Portland first is kind of a fake pick. It's not going to convey this year. It's top 14 protected, and the Blazers are obviously tanking, especially after the trade they made just a day or two ago. So, Kobe going out, Poeltl coming in. He's on a really reasonable contract. He's making $8.7 million this year. He makes a little bit more next year, I believe. And he would give us incredible rim protection and someone long term that could kind of slide in to replace Vooch once Vooch's contract runs out. So what do you guys think of this trade, or do you think, what kind of things do you think we should be looking at trading to get a guy like Poeltl in the rotation?
Honestly, looking at this deal, I think it's totally fair. I'm a big Kobe guy, but I think if you're gonna move Kobe for someone, I think a guy like Jakob is more than fine. I mean, you're talking about bringing in one of the best shot blockers and rim protectors in the game. I think I think honestly, I think this is a good deal. I would do it, hands down. Sorry, Will, if you're ever watching, I love your boy Kobe, but I think this would be a good deal.
Yeah, I think it just depends on what the Bulls want to do this year. Like, if they're really gonna make a push, then, like you said, Chris, like I think that you need to make both these deals in tandem. Like, you need to get Poeltl and Schroeder. Like, just getting one of those guys, like, what does that really do? Especially Schroeder, because he's expiring, so you're just renting him basically for a year.
Yeah.
And Kobe, obviously he's going to have like a longer term future with the team. They're going to have many years of team control on him. So yeah, and the other thing too is like you can even pair another deal alongside Poeltl and Schroeder, right? Because you still have Derek Jones Jr. at that point. You still have Patrick Williams, so you can go for these bigger players that we've heard about. The Harrison Barnes, the Jeremy Grant type deals. So yeah, I would either do all of them or basically do none of them. But if they are going to do all of them, I like this deal a lot for the Bulls.
The other thing this does is Jakob Poeltl is 26 years old, so he fits in right with Levine and Lonzo and Caruso, like that whole timeline of guys. And eventually DeMar and Vooch aren't going to be here, and I think bringing a guy like this would really solidify your center spot for the foreseeable future. I mean, you could ride with Poeltl as your starting center for a long time and be a good team. So, it's funny because we always talk about centers being kind of the easiest to replace, the easiest position to replace, but it's for the amount of money you're paying, I think. But also the other position that's really easy to replace is shooting guards in general, like guys who shoot really well, but don't necessarily play a ton of defense. As we've talked about, Kobe's gotten a lot better, and I'm not moving Kobe just to move Kobe. I think he's really valuable on this team. He's played a really big role. But so if you're going to move him, it's got to be for a long-term upgrade, and I think Poeltl meets that criteria.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep,
I agree.
I don't know what else there is to say on that one, but that Poeltl. The Poeltl rumor gets me excited, but I do know there's a lot of teams looking for starting centers right now in the NBA. I know the Raptors, the Celtics. The Raptors are looking for one for sure. The Hornets looking for one for sure. I know the Raptors have been kind of poking around about the same thing. I know Portland wants to get rid of Nurkic and bring in someone else. So there would be competition for Poeltl. And let's see. As Bulls. You've seen plenty of talk about him as a rim protector, as the center of the defense. How is Poeltl guarding as an individual player? Like, can he guard Embiid? Can he be put on Giannis defensively? So what have you seen, Steph, with his defensive ability individually against some of the bigger competition?
I don't think anybody can guard Embiid. So
No.
yeah, I think that he kind of got roasted a little bit when he played Embiid earlier, but he also had a pretty good game on the other end. So that kind of balanced out a little bit. And then what was the other question about Giannis? That's another guy where like you can't. I mean, nobody can really guard him. So the Mavs had pretty. I think with Maxi Kleber, like that type of player, bigger guy who can guard wings, like that's worked okay for them. But I don't think Pirtle's like going to stop Giannis or anything, but he would probably be a better option than Vucevic, which is what they used last time. And Vucevic was, I mean, he did okay, but like he's going to get blown by a lot if they stick with that matchup. So it would be an upgrade, but definitely not like the answer or anything.
Yeah, I don't think. I think if you go back and you watch the Raptors, that what was that 2000 Kawhi? What year did the Raptors win the World Series?
2019,
the championship. I think if you go back, like Kawhi has like this amazing reputation, but if you go back, that was a team scheme for Giannis. Like there's just not like even Kawhi. Like I don't think like yes, he's probably got the best shot when he was in his prime, but I don't think there's just one guy that you can just throw on Giannis and just say, hey, you got it, brother. Like I think it has to be a team scheme. Same thing with Joel Embiid, man. I mean, those are two names that, like, I mean, come on, man. Like
they're MVP, they're MVP or MVP candidates. Yeah,
there's literally nobody in the league. I can't think of one player in the league that could just guard Embiid one-on-one. So you're gonna have to have a team effort for sure.
There is one guy who can guard Giannis one-on-one. His name is Ryan Arcidiacono. Really well.
Caruso played him pretty good too before. He played him with a broken wrist and he was still stopping him. So
he snatched the ball out of Giannis's hands with a broken wrist.
He stuffed him.
Amazing stuff.
That might have did the work on the rest of the wrist, man.
That's why you can't get the jersey, man. After that play, everybody wants a Caruso jersey. They're hot.
I've been looking. So
they're late to the party, man.
All right, so I know we want to get to the main event here, which is talking about wild and reasonable trade ideas. Some of them are wild, some of them are reasonable. We asked the fans, those who watch the show and listen to the show. So thank you guys so much for your submissions. We appreciate you guys. We got quite a few, so we're going to try and go through as many as we can. I know, Steph, we can't keep you all night, but we'll keep you for a few of these here and see what we think. So the first one I've got. And I'm gonna work the trade machine kind of as we go. So this is from Jeff Miller. He emailed us, and so we got the Bulls in one with the Thunder. So I'm going to work this as we go. So sorry for it's going to be a little slow here at first. And the Grizzlies is the other team.
Favors. Okay. There's some players on the Thunder that I really like to get moved.
There's one. Yeah,
I hope we're getting Kenny Hustle here.
Kenny Hustle is the man that is being traded to the Bulls.
There we go.
And then Xavier Tillman.
You don't need to do any more of this stuff, Chris.
Xavier Tillman.
From
you could get Tillman. Woo-wee.
Thunder get Troy Brown Jr. Congratulations, Thunder. Our guy Marko Simonovic.
Oh yeah,
going to the Thunder.
I can drive him to the airport.
All right, we're gonna get somebody on these other teams fired if this trade goes through.
And the Portland first, and the Grizzlies get the one and only Mike Muscala. All right, so let's see if this works here.
He's having actually a pretty good damn year.
Here we go. So this is the trade. This is Jeff Miller. So let me read, because I know he had an explanation of this one. If I can pull it up, I'm so slow. There was a recent report that OKC is looking to deal Kenrich for a first rounder. The Bulls can send our protected Portland pick. They can also include and they can also include Marco if they need a little bit more. He's an excellent point of attack defender, Kenrich Williams, who's regularly assigned to the opposing point guard, despite being classified as a combo forward. He can take tough matchups 1 through 4. And then talks about Tillman. Tillman had a very productive rookie year. Currently finds himself outside the rotation. Memphis just happens to be a really deep team. They've got a lot of guys in the front court. Tillman's low volume, low percentage outside Tillman. Outside of Tillman are all low volume, low percentage shooters. They can bog down the offense. And then so Muscala for the Grizzlies gives them a little bit of shooting, floor spacing option that would fix that. Tillman here on the Bulls would warrant significant playing time as a hybrid 4-5, very active, aware defensively, and also helps with the Bulls' luxury tax concerns. Saves them a little bit of money. So for the upcoming years, because these guys are both on very, very cheap contracts. So want to see what do you guys think, Larro? You're looking like you're ready to get Kenny Hustle and Tillman on our team. So what do you think about this trade? Do you think this is a fair trade for all sides, and do you think these are some guys that the Bulls should be looking to get?
I think it goes along with what Steph said. I think if you look at the players in this deal, like the Bulls, in my opinion, get the best players in this deal, both of them. I think the Grizzlies GM would be fired, or at least be talked about being fired. And I think the Thunder, I mean, who knows what they're thinking about? They probably just care about the pick. But
to be honest, yeah, the first rounder and Marco, I mean, I'm just kidding. Marco just had like a 2020 game yesterday, didn't he? The G League. I don't understand how Marco cannot see, and like he's so bad apparently that he cannot see an NBA floor, but he's out here getting 20 and 20 in the G League. But anyways, continue.
I mean, yeah, I'll just leave it. I'll just make it fast. Like, I think obviously I would take this deal in a heartbeat, because I think both those guys can come right into our rotation and give what we would like. Defensively, both of these guys are right where you want them to be on this team. I think Xavier Tillman gives you that versatility at the 4-5. Kendrick Williams, he can guard. I mean, he can really guard. And I'll just leave it at that. I would take this deal, but I don't think it's possible.
So you think the Grizzlies are the one that's holding up this deal then, right? The Grizzlies wouldn't ship out Tillman for Muscala.
Like, I know he's having a good year. He's shooting the ball really well, but I mean, you're giving up. I don't know. I don't know if I would do that. I mean, especially Xavier Tillman, like in the playoffs, like he could be somebody you can throw in there situationally. I know he's out of the rotation, but I mean, it'd take a little bit more than Mike Muscala for me to think about moving Xavier Tillman, in my opinion.
What about you, Steph?
I think from a value prop, it looks pretty good. Like, nobody is running away with the trade, but from like a team needs perspective, I don't really think it makes much sense, to be honest. Like the Grizzlies, like Larro said, Mike Muscala is having a really good year. I think he's shooting like 43% on threes on pretty high volume. He barely plays because the Thunder are trying to lose games. So definitely help a team, but what the Grizzlies are trying to do right now is they have so many solid rotation players. They're trying to do a consolidation trade. So they're going to use a guy like Tillman for that purpose. Muscala, I mean, this is a really bad fit for him if he goes to the Grizzlies, because they're already so deep that like he might not even play for them. Whereas like if he goes to a team like the Lakers, I think the Lakers could really, really use Muscala. Or even the Bulls. Like the Bulls could use Muscala too.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really make sense for him to go to the Grizzlies, although that's like a fair value prop. And then as far as the Bull side, I really like Kenny Hustle. I don't really know if Tillman is going to play rotation minutes in the playoffs either. Like they kind of need a more NBA ready player, I feel like. So it just I don't really think it hits what these teams are looking for, aside from the Thunder, who are just like you said, all they care about is picks.
So what if we swap this up here, took the Grizzlies out, and just had instead Mike Muscala coming to the Bulls for this package? Because my thing is, I like Kenny. I think maybe this is like, I think the value is pretty close here, but I've heard other GMs in the league. I've heard people say that the Thunder aren't getting the first round pick for Kenny. Like they're thinking like it's a high second, or something a little bit less equivalent. So I wonder if you add Muscala to the deal and take the Grizzlies out of it, would that do it for you? Would that be a fair proposition? Because I think it's close. You
can go ahead, Steph.
Yeah, I think the value prop is like pretty good here again. But so if you do this trade, then you're taking Schroeder out of the equation, right? Because you're moving Brown. So like, what's the alternative? I guess would be my my biggest qualm here. I think it's a good trade, but I think that the Bulls could probably do better, especially this Portland pick is like the only.
Yeah,
that is a fake pick, like you said. Like it's lottery protected until 2028, and then turns into a second rounder. So there's a pretty good chance that it actually becomes a second round pick. But that's like the only thing really that they have. So I would save that for like a higher impact players. Although I love Kenny Hustle and Muscala is definitely going to play for the Bulls if he was traded. But I think that they need to look a little bit higher. I wouldn't hate it though if they did it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Awesome. All right. What I should have been doing while you guys were talking about that is bringing up the next trade, but I'm not the smartest.
We can
person
just banter here. Well, I love when I'm listening to podcasts and they just say like, "Okay, just talk for a little bit. I got to do something." It's just like the most awkward conversation for like the next 45 seconds.
Yes, it is. Okay, this is an interesting one we got from another email from Pete Hughes. And he kind of brought two different trades. So I'm going to put both the trades up as kind of one trade, just for the visual sake and time's sake. And let me just pull it up while I'm doing it so we can all see. But it ends up being a hold on. No, yeah,
wait,
I haven't gotten. No, it's not.
For the podcast listeners, Chris just pulled up like a 25 player trade. I didn't know if we were gonna go through all of these guys.
So what's happening here is the Clippers and the Bulls are just completely switching rosters.
Okay.
And also the Pacers are here. Let's see, Derek Jones Jr. Man, I can't find these dudes.
So this is the Bulls getting Ibaka though?
So their first trade basically is the Bulls are getting Nicholas Batum and Serge Ibaka in exchange for Derek Jones Jr., Matt Thomas, who finally, for the first time this week, it actually appears on the trade machine, and a Chicago second, which we don't have until 2026, and it's supposed to go straight to the league. And then there's the second trade here is between, so it's a separate trade, but I'm just going to put it on because it should work. But the Bulls are getting Torrey Craig traded to the Bulls and Justin Holiday.
Wow.
And the Pacers are getting Troy Brown Jr., who's somewhere way up here. Okay. Troy Brown Jr. and Kobe White. Okay, hopefully this all works. Success. Okay. Wow. So remember, these are two separate trades, but basically, yeah, Derek Jones and Matt Thomas and a second round pick go to the Clippers for Serge Ibaka and Batum. Troy Brown Jr. and Kobe White go to the Pacers for Justin Holiday and Torrey Craig. So that's from our guy Pete Hughes that put together this trade. So this one's interesting for me. I'll just say I think the Pacers trade, I think the Bulls are giving up too much in that trade. I think Kobe's worth as much as I love Justin Holiday, and I think he'd be really valuable here. I'm not sure if I would trade Kobe. I think I'd need something else back from the Pacers before I would trade Kobe. But what do you guys think about these two deals?
No, I do like the Batum being considered to be a Bull because I did see a report saying that they would be open to moving Batum or Marcus Morris or Mark. I think it's Marcus Morris, but I would definitely be open to having Batum on this team. And if the Clippers are willing to do that deal, I think I would be okay with it. But the Pacers deal, like I think you're totally right. Like Kobe deserves, I mean, in terms of what he's worth, I think he's worth more than what the Pacers are offering. So I think I'm right there with you in terms of how you feel about this deal.
Yeah, I don't really know why the Clippers would do this. I guess the only reason would be they're saving some money and their tax bill is exorbitant. They have to pay some sort of like repeater penalties. So it looks like they're cutting 3 million. That's like going to end up saving them, I don't know, something, we'll just call it like 10 million. But with the moves that they just recently made, it seems like they're making a push to not go all in this year, but just like they're definitely making a push to see how far they can go. So trading away Batum, who was so key for them last year, I think Ibaka's pretty washed. Like I think he's a good name, but yeah, I wouldn't really count on him to have a ton of production. But I think Batum is like I haven't watched a ton of him this year, but based on last year, like he was so key for them. I don't really see them moving him.
Yeah, well, I just know I think Mark Schindler had said that there was a report out that they would be open to moving Batum and Morris.
Yeah, but that was probably before they just made this most recent trade, right, for Rocco and those guys. So I think they've kind of shifted. I think they've probably shifted like what they're doing. I know, like a week ago or whatever, there were reports that all their guys were basically available, but this NBA trade deadline, things move really quickly and they change rapidly. So I would guess, I mean, I'm not certain, but I would guess that that's kind of changed and they're kind of trying to keep on holding on to their really good players.
How do you feel about Luke Kennard?
I have no feelings towards Luke Kennard. I've not thought of the name Luke Kennard all season, so I mean, he's okay, I guess. A very average player.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's improved a lot. But yeah, I agree.
All right, I've got a more wild trade for you guys from our friend Ethan McDougal. I've already got it. I've got it.
Love Ethan.
Love Ethan. This trade's wild. So the Bulls and Spurs make a trade. The Bulls get DeJounte Murray, Jakob Poeltl, Derek White, and Keldon Johnson in exchange for Nikola Vucevic, Troy Brown Jr., Kobe White, and Patrick Williams. So this actually is nearly cap equal. The Bulls save just under $1 million and get DeJounte Murray as apparently your backup point guard, which I really like a lot because I love DeJounte Murray. He's probably my second favorite player in the league behind John Morant. And then Derek White, who's an extremely good shooting guard, Jakob Poeltl, who we already talked about, and then Keldon Johnson, who's like a kind of a on offense, he's had a really, really good year. He shot really well from three. On defense, he's still definitely a work in progress. I don't think the Spurs do this at all. That's my thought. But if they did, I would do this in a heartbeat. Probably.
Murray's really good. I mean, people are massively underrating Murray. I think he's probably going to get into the All-Star game based on like an injury replacement. Yeah,
he's averaging 29 and 9.
I missed that. Just I know we can't get him, but figure out a way, Ethan. If you're giving us the entire Spurs roster and like the super complicated trade, figure out a way to get that back too.
Yeah, I know they love Patrick Williams. The Spurs were one of the teams that were trying to trade up. But they were originally planning to draft Patrick Williams at their spot, but then the Pistons and the Bulls started being interested, and the Spurs were rumored to be looking to try and jump those teams and draft Patrick Williams. So I know they love Pat, and Kobe's a great young player. I'm just not sure. I don't think Vooch is doing it for them. Like if they're trying to gain younger talent, I don't think Vooch makes much sense in it. And DeJounte Murray is really, really good. I think he's the best player in this deal, personally. But yeah, that's a fun one though. That's a fun trade to think about. Yeah, for sure. Any other thoughts you guys have while I sneakily bring up the next trade?
I think I have maybe a little too much. What's the word I'm looking for? A little too much faith, maybe faith is a good word in terms of Vooch. Like I need to be like in these, like I understand that deal, like getting DeJounte back, but I'm just trying to think like offensively. Like I know defensively it would be good, but like offensively, I don't know. Like is Jakob gonna I don't know. That would have to be another conversation. So in terms of Vooch, like I just would have to, I don't know, be blown away. But that's just me. That's me, on my own.
All right, let's see. This one's a little more complicated, unfortunately. So it's taking me a second here.
How many teams we got, Chris?
3, but there's several picks exchanging hands, so it's just the part that makes it hard. All right, so let me just put it up while I'm doing it so you guys can see. These are not all the players involved, but it's coming. So this one, the Bulls are getting Kyle Anderson from the Grizzlies and a couple seconds, one from Memphis and one from Detroit. The Pistons are getting Tyus Jones and Derek Jones Jr. as the matching salary for Slow-Mo. He's going to the Pistons. They also get Culver, who's continuing to be passed around, but he's had a pretty decent year for Memphis, actually. And then the Grizzlies are getting Jeremy Grant and Corey Joseph, who's somewhere. There he is. And the Grizzlies are also, let's see. Oh, man, hold on. Portland first.
I can just start talking about this a little bit while you.
Yes, please.
So I think I think this is the type of trade that does make more sense for the Grizzlies, where they're getting more top end talent. Like Jeremy Grant, I think is probably like a really good number 3 or number 4 on like a strong playoff team. So they still need that number 2 guy to pair with Ja, but they could definitely use Jeremy Grant. And then from the Bulls side, I love Kyle Anderson. He's not playing a ton for the Grizzlies because they have this problem that I talked about where they just have too many rotation players. Looking at this from the Pistons side. So like from the Bulls side, I like it. They're not giving up too much. From the Grizzlies side, it makes sense. From the Pistons do this. They're getting 2 first-round picks. One of them's a fake first-round pick.
Wait a minute. Sorry, I think that's supposed to be that Utah pick is supposed to be a second-round pick. So pretend that's a second-round pick.
Yeah, I think that. So I think the Pistons are like the holdup here. I don't think they would do that. Like, I think they could probably get a better package for Jeremy Grant. He's going to be kind of like the headliner of this trade deadline period. Like, there's better players that are available, but he's like the best, most likely player to be moved. So I think they can probably hold out for something a little bit better.
I'm interested to see where Jeremy Grant ends up because he's already voiced how he feels about his future. So I'm interested to see where he ends up.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, would he be okay with being the 4th guy on the Grizzlies? Like, at least with the Bulls, if you move him and he's the 4th guy, he has all these previous relationships. But with the Grizzlies, I don't think he really knows anyone there. So that would be a tough sell as well.
Yeah.
So Tyus Jones is a really, really good backup point guard.
Mm-hmm.
So the Pistons may go for this because they're getting Tyus Jones he's on his last year of his deal though. Jarrett Culver's still kind of a project, so it's basically just the Portland first, and a decent a good rotation player, but it's for a tanking team. So I do agree that the Pistons are probably the one that gets held up here. I also think the Grizzlies probably wouldn't be too thrilled to give up Tyus Jones in exchange for Corey Joseph, but Jeremy Grant does make a lot of sense there, especially if you play JJJ at the 5 a little bit more, and you can move Steven Adams. That's a really, really nice lineup.
That'd be pretty nasty with Bane, Ja, JJJ, and Jeremy Grant.
I just really hope he thinks about it because, like, I understand. Like, get your money, big dog. Like, I'm not telling you not to get your money, but I really hope he really like digs deep and thinks about it because, like, I think he could fit a team and just really take them to another level. But like I said, I don't blame him for wanting to get some money, but like I mean, like you guys said, that Grizzlies fit would be nice.
Sorry, I screwed up this other one too. It's 2 second-round picks going to each team. I'm sorry, 2 second-round picks going to the Bulls. Our Portland first and a second-round pick going to the Pistons. I don't know why the Grizzlies have so many firsts that I just figured one of them was the second at some point, but nope, they've got a ton of firsts. But yeah, that would be a fun consolidation trade for them. Steph, I think maybe we've got time for one more before we're going to let you go. Let me see if I can. Oh, this is a fun one. So this one is, I'll just leave it.
You do the Zion one?
Oh, you want to do the Zion one?
You guys can do that one yourselves.
That one's a fun one.
I don't think you guys need me for that one.
This one involves getting John Collins.
Okay.
On the Bulls.
Interesting. I'm interested to see how this one shakes out. I don't think I saw this one.
So John Collins going to the Bulls and also TLC.
The
return.
Timothy.
Joe Cowley used to always make fun of that guy.
Let's see.
Derek Jones, Patrick Williams, Troy Brown.
Every time you click trade Patrick Williams on there, my heart breaks a little bit.
I know. Let's see, I think this is it. All right. Yeah, Bulls get TLC and John Collins, and they give up Derek Jones, Troy Brown, and the real price here is Patrick Williams and a first-round pick. I'm going to say I think the Hawks don't do this because they kind of want to win now, and Patrick's injured. And even though Derek Jones is a decent rotation player, clearly a step down from John Collins this year. But to get Patrick Williams long-term, I don't know. What do you guys think about this? I would love to get John Collins. He'd be really fun. He'd be really fun here. He's a great player.
You want to go first, Steph?
Sure. Yeah. We've kind of discussed this a little bit in our little group chat. I think John Collins is a really good player. But I don't think that he's a great fit for the Bulls just because when you have Vooch there, you want a 4 that offers a little bit more rim protection. And Collins, he had a reputation for being just a horrendous defender earlier on in his career. He's gotten a lot better, but he's still like below average, I would say, like pretty solidly below average. So yeah, I think the Bulls don't really have a problem offensively right now. Like their offense is pretty good, especially their half court offense when they have these like really good isolation scorers in DeMar and Zach. So what they need is like a defensive 4 that can contribute offensively in like a low usage role. So that's not really Collins at all. So, I think he's a good player. Like, you want to stack good players, obviously. So like that would be good. I would target a different kind of player.
Yeah, no, I think I would do this deal if maybe, I don't know, if Pat wasn't in it, or maybe if it was like Kobe or something, because I understand what Steph is saying about John Collins in terms of his defensive ability, but I do think he's gotten better. I think his strength defensively would probably be his weak side rim protection if I had to pick one. But like you said, offensively, like he's already said, like he wants to be more involved. He wants, so him coming here ain't helping that because you ain't taking the ball out of Zach LaVine's hands. You ain't taking it out of DeMar's hands, so it's like, yeah. So I don't know.
That's a good point, Larro.
You know where I think John Collins fits really well? The Hawks. There's no reason they should be trading him.
So like he's complaining that he doesn't get enough touches on offense, but they're like the number 2 offense or something. So that he doesn't really have a claim to say that like he should be getting more shots, in my opinion.
His problem is Trae Young. No one likes playing with Trae Young on that team. Apparently, this is all reports we get is like players. You know why? It's because he has the ball on offense all the time, and he doesn't play defense. So it's the 2 things if you're a play pickup that you hate the most in pickup is a guy who doesn't play defense and always has to have the ball in his hands. So I understand why. But yeah, I think John Collins is a perfect fit on the Hawks. They shouldn't be looking to trade him.
That's the scouting report on Ricky O'Donnell. I've heard he's all offense, no defense. So never pick him on your pickup team.
Well, Steph,
sorry. I'm sorry.
I just want to say, Steph, thanks so much for coming on. It was a great time as always to talk some trade, talk some Bulls with you. Let people know where they can find your work. If you are not following Stephen Noh, for the love of God, please, is the absolute best follow on Twitter for Bulls analysis and now league-wide analysis. I'm really excited. I'm so excited for this new job. You're killing it already. The memes have continued. The cat meme, the cat video is still happening for every Bulls win. So Steph, where can the people find you?
Yeah, now that I'm a national guy, I'm not supposed to be a Bulls homer, so I gotta cover this up a little bit. Jersey. But yeah, you can find me. I'm always tweeting way too much. Twitter account Steph Noh, STEPHNOH, and then just read my stuff at Sporting News. Every Tuesday, I'm doing this column called Hidden Gems, which is profiling like a top 40 to 100-ish player. These guys don't really get a lot of attention, so I think it's fun to just like show the beauty of basketball outside of these stars that you just hear over and over and over and over again. And like every article is about the Lakers. Like, who cares, right? Like, I don't even think Lakers fans care about the Lakers anymore. So it's fun to write different stuff. This next one, as I said, is coming out on Wendell Carter Jr., which I think Bulls fans would be interested in because I've already watched a bunch of Wendell's games, and he has changed pretty significantly from his time with the Bulls. So that one's going to be fun to write.
Yeah, I like Kris said, man, like we appreciate you, taking the time out of your, I'm pretty sure, busy schedule, especially not only like it's one thing to cover the Bulls the way you used to and still do. They take so much, detail. Like you're not watching games just given the easy meatball takes. You're diving in. You're watching scheme. You're keeping track of player development. And now you're doing that for the league. So again, man, I appreciate you coming on. It's always been fun having you on, man. So man, keep doing what you do, brother.
You guys too. I love what you guys are doing. You're doing something different from everybody else, which I definitely appreciate. So you guys keep on rocking too.
Appreciate it, Steph. We'll see you soon. Thanks for coming on. And talk to you later, man. Good to see you.
All right, we'll see you guys in the secret group chat that we reference on every podcast. Okay, you guys, see you later. Thanks for having me.
See you, man.
No problem. See you. Oh, man. Okay, so that was – Steph's so good. Steph's great. Great follow, great person, really smart, just totally different thinker. Just the way he thinks about the game has always impressed me, and I always learn something when I read his stuff and talk to him. So wanted to have him on for some of those trades. By the way, I completely forgot to say who the last trades were submitted by. So the slow-mo trade with Memphis, that was submitted by Nippy. So shout out Nippy. He's a big supporter of the pod.
Yeah, he's
Appreciate
always
you,
in
man.
there, man.
Love it. And then Brandon M., he's the one that came up with the John Collins trade. And he actually submitted a couple more trades as well that we're going to get to. So let's see. Let me see if I can get to this next one. We got another one. And it's just gonna be it's just hard to put them up in real time.
Yeah,
I got no other choices here. So we got a 3-team trade. Brandon M submits where with the Bulls, the Celtics, and the Wizards. So the Wizards are actually a team I really think that the Bulls have a decent chance at making a trade with, because they've got a glut of power forward center types.
Yeah. And
they really need some guards. And they're looking to trade Spencer Dinwiddie. So they may be looking to bring in someone like I think like a Kobe White would be someone that would be very attractive to them. So here's a trade where the Bulls are getting Montrezl Harrell. The Celtics are getting Tony Bradley, the other TBJ, Tony Bradley, and Davis Bertans, which I'm sure they're really excited about. Celtics are getting Davis Bertans and Dinwiddie. So this is where it gets interesting, I think, the Celtics. And then the Celtics are then the Wizards are getting Josh Richardson. So he's a shooting guard / small forward. Horford and Schroeder. So Horford, sorry, I'll pop this up. Is it on the screen yet? Did I put it on the screen yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let's see.
There we go.
Trade failed. Oh, hold on a second. I think did I fail to get something here?
Let's see.
We're missing like $7 million of a player. Bulls get Trez, Tony TBJ, Bertans, Dinwiddie, J.H. Horford, Schroeder. I'm going to have to look back at this. But what do you think about just the principle of getting Montrezl Harrell, who's been a really, really nice, really nice. It's probably going to be, my guess would be Derek Jones is who's going out here.
Okay.
Yeah, because outcoming, would it be going to the Celtics? Let's see.
This is always like playing Tetris to me. Like
I know, it's exciting times. All right, here we go. All right, that works in the trade machine at least. Now it is a 2-for-1 trade for the Bulls and a 4-for-3 for the. That could work. That could work. So what do you think about this trade or getting Montrezl? He's had a really nice year this year.
Yeah. I think in this deal, it would suck losing DJJ. Like I like Trez, and I think.
Hey, what's up, Brandon? Hey, I like I mean, these are fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Even if they don't work, or one team says there's no way they're going to do that, it's always a great conversation starter, and it gets the minds working. So, I like the last one. That was a fun, the John Collins trade.
I think overall, I think I like. I think I'd like it because I think Harrell could be a nice backup center. Even power forward. He's a lob threat at the rim. He applies that pressure as well as a lob threat. Defensively, I feel like he's all right. But I don't know why my hang up is DJJ so much, but I think it is.
Yeah, Salim says by adding Montrez, Bulls are committing fully to scoring 130 with no defense. They're already there, Salim. That's where they are currently. It's my blood pressure every single time I watch the Bulls since Caruso went down has been through the roof, and every game I just can't watch. It's so hard to watch because it's just a shootout, and just hope that the Bulls win the shootout. And
yeah,
it's been tough, man. It's been tough.
I don't know. I'd probably have to watch more film on Montrez before I said yes to this. I have to be honest. I haven't watched a lot of the Wizards games unless we played them. But DJJ is the hang up for me. I just like what DJJ brings when he's on the floor. Energy.
Yeah,
I
think I agree with you, at least from a Bulls perspective. I'm not sure that Derek Jones to Montrez is a significant upgrade. It may just kind of be like more of a lateral move in terms of what you're getting, and then adding Tony Bradley to it just kind of thins us up a little bit. So I think the Bulls would probably have to get a little bit something more here. No, I did want to adjust this trade real quick. I wanted to talk about a trade that I thought of, and that's for Kyle Kuzma. Because, and this is going to be now. This does get rid of Derek Jones as well, just for matching salary, and we have to bring back Ho Neto. So here's a trade that I thought. This is one of the trades that I thought of. It's kind of a remix of the Wizards trade that gets us Kyle Kuzma. I really think Kyle Kuzma is a good defender. He's just a good all around player. He's really developed a lot, and he's on a really, really cheap, reasonable deal for the next few years. And the Wizards aren't really going anywhere. And I think they can cash in on him. Derek Jones, obviously matching salary. Raul Neto has actually been a really decent backup too, as well. So he could be a really nice kind of third string guy. But what do you think about this one?
I think I would do it. I think adding Kyle Kuzma is pretty huge, especially if you don't have to give up Pat. Obviously you wouldn't have to give up Pat in my opinion, you wouldn't have to give up Pat. But like, as long as you have Pat still on the squad and Kuzma is coming in, I think I like this deal. Kobe going out, I think we would have to find someone that could come off the bench and score a bit. But I think adding Kuzma helps this team rebounding because if Vooch isn't on the floor, we're just not a good rebounding team. And scoring wise, he could shoot it a bit. I know he's got a low percentage, but he's shooting a lot of them. So I would like Kyle Kuzma on this team.
I think that's another trade where if you're trading Kobe for Kuz, getting Dennis Schroeder for Troy Brown and the 2nd-round pick makes a lot more sense, right?
Yeah.
You get that guard off the bench that can run your offense, that can score, that can get downhill.
Yep.
Because Kuzma can shoot, right? So he gives you a little bit more spacing, get good defense, good size. I mean, he's a good player.
Yeah,
I like that one a lot. We got Brandon with a 3rd trade here, which I'm trying to bring up here.
Yeah, I think
yes. Yeah, I like this one. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, I think Kuzma is someone. I remember I was trying to talk to my boy who lives in Los Angeles. That Kuzma, KCP, and Caruso. You're gonna feel it. Like you're gonna feel it when they leave the Lakers. And his hang up was Kuzma, and he's like, "Oh, Kuzma is overrated." And I'm like, dude, like you're not watching enough Lakers games then, because Kuzma he brings a lot of value. And since he's been with the Wizards, he's had a little bit more usage, and like he's just really taken onto it and really progressed. So I would definitely love Kuzma on this team. I really would. I think he fit right in, honestly.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I wanted him over the summer. I thought he would be a really nice piece to bring at the power forward, but the Russell Westbrook trade went down, and that kind of did it for that. But I'm trying to finish up this trade here. This one's actually kind of fun, I think, once I can get it on the screen. Let's see if this works.
Let's see.
Did it do it yet? Oh, hold on. I got to get someone else to who's getting the Wizards? Sabonis and Sykes.
Kiefer Sykes, huh? Wow.
18 million. Who's going to the Pacers? Hold on. All right, Bulls get Trez and Montrezl Harrell and Torrey Craig. Wizards get Sabonis and Sykes. Pacers get Derek Jones, Troy Brown, Denny, Washington first. What's the difference here? 19.8. Does this have to go somewhere else? Maybe Derek Jones has to go. Maybe I'm just writing these things down wrong. So I apologize to our listeners that I'm not doing these things right. But Derek Jones maybe to the Wizards instead. Would that do it? No. I don't know. I'm not sure what this one. I'm gonna nix this one, but I think the Wizards would be a really, really. I mean, if the Wizards are going to keep Beal, which I think they're stupid for doing, I think they should have traded Beal already. Yeah, they should trade Beal right now, and they should trade Beal in the summer if he signs an extension, or you do like trade Beal. But if you're going to keep Beal, I think Domantas Sabonis would be a really, really nice pairing with him.
Yeah,
and so that's kind of the essence of this trade is the Pacers are the Wizards are getting Domantas Sabonis, and kind of the Bulls act as the third party to kind of take on the salary of Torrey Craig and Montrezl Harrell and kind of shore up their front court, which I think is really, really good. Yeah, it runs into the same thing with Derek Jones Jr. going out as kind of being like a kind of a lateral move for Sabonis. I'm sorry for Sabonis for Trez. But I love the idea of bringing Torrey Craig in here. Let's see.
Yeah.
Do this trade. Yeah. So Zelina's right for the other trade. You do that Kuzma trade, and then you do the Troy Brown Jr. in second for Schroeder trade.
Man, so that's that. Defensively, man, that'd be nice. Add a little bit more defense, a little bit of scoring. Yeah, that would be nice.
While I'm bringing this up, do you want to maybe talk about what Torrey Craig can do and like why you think he might be a nice target for the Bulls at his price?
Yeah, no, I think we saw last night, like in terms of what he can bring. Torrey is like that switchable defender. He's stretching it in terms of like shooting it pretty well. Like he's doing it pretty well this year as well. I just think defensively he's a great fit. And also, he's like I said, he's shooting it pretty well too. So he's somebody that this team needs, another switchable defender that can stretch the floor on offense and create some space. I think, like I said, I would love to have him on this team. I think you saw a little bit of his value with the Bucks as well. Another guy you can throw at KD, and when KD comes back, you can throw him at him. And I like I said, dude, like he's somebody that would help this team a lot.
I agree. All right, I got a fun one here. Skokin had 2. The first one didn't work, so but it was basically trying to get Larry Nance from Portland. Skokin, who's always on the pod, so appreciate you in the comments and appreciate the ideas you're bringing forward. So basically, Larry Nance, and his idea was to get Troy Brown Jr. and Javonte Green. That you need a little bit more salary, so you'd have to throw in a guy like Matt Thomas, maybe, or Marco or something in there to get it working. But what do you think about bringing Larry Nance? I know he's had some continuing struggles with health this year, but I would love to have Nance on this team. I wanted him in the Lowry trade personally, but
yeah, I would say, like you said, I would rather have had Larry Nance, and I would say that I know DJJ was a dunk contest champion. He leaps out the gym. But in terms of what he would be able to add, and DJJ has had games when he's knocked down some threes in the corner, and you're like, whoa, But I think the small ball 5 for Larry Nance, the ability to shoot the 3, the ability to operate and dribble handoffs, pick and rolls, be a lob threat, defensively. Like I think we saw in the most recent, if I remember, not the most recent, but I think earlier in the year when we played the Trailblazers, like you saw, like he is someone on the defensive end that's a pest. He's in the passing lanes. He can be a secondary rim protector. He can play drop. He can play at the level of the screen. Like he's just so, when you talk about scheme versatile, he's another guy that you can do different things with, and he's athletic. He has good hands. He's someone that he should have. I would have definitely took him in the deal. No disrespect to DJJ, but yeah.
So here's the other trade that Skokin came up with, which does work, which is getting Chris Boucher from the Raptors in exchange for Tony Bradley and Troy Brown Jr. So the TBJs go to the Raptors for Chris Boucher, who's on a 1-year, $7 million deal, and this is also by Skokin. So Chris Boucher, 6'9". We saw him recently with the Raptors. He's playing. He was out rebounding the Bulls like every other Raptor, unfortunately. Any thoughts on this one?
I think, what is he, 6'9"? How tall is he?
Yeah, 6'9".
6'9". Man. Like I know he could shoot the ball. Like I think the shooting would be something that would make me think a little hard on this. Let me see. What is he shooting this year from 3? Let me look it up here. Boo. Shay. Here we go. All right, found him. 6'9". Come on. He's shooting 28% from 3 this year on three attempts.
It's right where you want it to be.
Yeah, only 6 rebounds a game, 20 minutes. I don't know. I think there's more value with the TBJs over Boucher. Like it feels like he has a good game against us all the time. But like I think I would rather have the TBJs, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think I lean keeping our guys. So here's another guy who has been one of my major targets, and this is a trade by Benny G. Trade with the Mavericks, where we get Maxi Kleba.
Send it in.
And the Mavericks, Mavericks get Tony Bradley, Troy Brown Jr., and Matt Thomas. So my problem with the trade is I don't think the Mavericks do this for kind of our flotsam here, as far as, now they may be looking to get rid of Kleba's salary because I know they got Brunson and Dorian Finney-Smith that they want to re-sign over the summer, who are both unrestricted free agents, I believe. Yeah. And so, they may be looking to shed salary. I would probably do something where if we shipped out, because he's on a deal for 8.9 this year on a 2-year deal. So he's making a little bit, I think a little bit more, a little bit less. He might have a declining or a descending deal, but basically like mid-level exception money next year and this year. And he's a good shooter. He's a good defender, and he's got good size. Like he would slide in really, really well at the 4 in our current squad. Yep. He's not as good offensively as Harrison Barnes, and he's probably not as good defensively as Jeremy Grant, but he's kind of like a mix of those two in his style. He doesn't really get to the rim at all. He basically just shoots threes and defends. He's like a 3-and-D power forward, basically.
Yeah.
But I've long liked him, and I know Mavs fans in particular are kind of sick of him.
Really?
On the team. Yeah, they've been upset with him recently. He had like a bunch of shots missed in a close game.
Yeah.
Or wide open, and fans overreact to everything. But I would love to have Max Kleber. If it were me, I think if you could ship out Derek Jones Jr. To match salaries here, give them an expiring contract, but a guy who'd be useful to the Mavs this year, I think that may entice them a little bit more than Tony Bradley and Troy Brown Jr. and Matt Thomas. I mean, I know Matt Thomas is like the heartthrob of everybody, but I don't know if the Mavs are gonna want him as much. So that would be my my take on that one. We got some questions here. Jeremy Munoz, what's the floor and ceiling for Patrick Williams? Ooh, I would love to know the answer to that question.
Yeah,
I would love to know.
I think he has a pretty. I think his floor would still be very helpful player, because I think his skills, him being able to dribble, him being able to pass, him being able to, him showing that he can shoot the ball from three, also being able to shoot from mid range. I think he would be a very good, if he would only hit his floor, I think he would be still a very helpful player for any team. Because of his size as well defensively, and he's only going to get better defensively playing in the NBA and understanding rotations, understanding what offenses are going to be trying to do to his defense, and where his rotation should be, and blase. But I think that Pat, I'll be honest, I think he's a guy that will still hit. If I had to guess right now, and if he stays with the Bulls, and the Bull, he doesn't end up getting a lot of reps. He doesn't, in terms of ball handling reps and things like that. I think he's someone that can hit maybe his 70th to 80th percentile in terms of what he could be. And I still think that's a damn good player, because I think he is someone that is just only scratching the surface. Because I know people are looking at Scotty Barnes and they're seeing what Scotty Barnes is doing, and they're like, oh my God, like, why is Pat not doing that? But it's like, totally different situation, man, and people probably don't want to hear that shit, and I understand that, but it's a totally different situation that matters, man. Who knows what Pat would be doing if he was in Detroit and he got all the reps, all the pick and roll ball, all the pick and roll reps, and being able to attack a team when he wants to, type deal. Like Scotty has full range. Like if obviously hierarchy, Fred, Pascal, but after that, like, Scotty's one of those guys that's fighting, for that third spot that could get his shots. Pat, like on this team, like he's fighting with Zach, he's fighting with DeMar, he's fighting with Vooch, and then the fourth guy, Kobe, when he's hot, and then maybe you talk about Pat in terms of like development, but situation matters, man. And yeah, I think he's someone that's going to hit close to a ceiling. I just think he's that type of worker. I think he's that type of basketball player as well.
If you want to get kind of a glimpse, we had Chip Jones on 2 weeks ago and did some film about Pat. I would really recommend going back and looking at our on YouTube or whatever, looking at the film that Chip and us broke down on Pat and the growth that he's had this season. So thanks for the question, Jeremy. Here's another trade idea. This one's from K-Bar. So this one's fun. Bulls get Harrison Barnes, Dennis Schroeder, and Rashawn Holmes. So the Dennis Schroeder to the for Troy Brown kind of swap is included in this, but it's basically that trade plus Harrison Barnes and Rashawn Holmes from the Kings, and then to the Kings would go Kobe White, Patrick Williams, Tony Bradley, and Derek Jones Jr. to match salaries. What do you think about this one? Because I think the Kings are saving a ton of money on this. They're sending out $30 million in salary, and they're getting back like 23, I think, ish, somewhere around there. So this would put the Bulls into the luxury tax this season, because they're just, I think, $4 million under the luxury tax, but would not hard cap us. But this is a talent play, right? Rashawn Holmes. This is what I love about this. We talked about Harrison Barnes many times, but Rashawn Holmes is available. Rashawn Holmes is another guy. If he were your backup center, my goodness, you'd have a lot of fun. So, what do you think about this trade and specifically like trying to get Rashawn Holmes in the door?
Now, I would ask you this. I would totally be down for this deal. You know how I feel about Harrison Barnes. I'm in on Dennis Schroeder. But if you were to get Rashawn, and I think he's someone that's undervalued when you look at his contract, I think he is undervalued in my eyes. But anyway, would you think about moving Vooch?
Yeah. See, if you could get Harrison Barnes man, this is tough. But Rashawn Holmes is on an insanely cheap deal for 4 years. That's the draw.
Yeah.
And he's younger than Vooch. He's making $10 million $10 million a year for the next 4 years, basically. He's a really, really good big in the short roll. Like his floater is like second to none in the league. He's got this little push shot floater that he's got in the lane that he hits every time. He's a very good defender. Just an energy guy. So I mean, he'd be really, really nice. He does not obviously give you the same sort of versatility on offense that Vooch does. There's just Harrison Barnes helps mitigate that some because Harrison Barnes can do a lot of things for you offensively.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know I had. I think I had another trade idea that involved. Here I had a similar one to this, and my idea was Harrison Barnes and Rashawn Holmes to the Bulls in exchange for Vooch, Derek Jones, and that Portland first. So it wouldn't be Patrick Williams. I don't think the problem is I don't think that the Kings would do that. I think they want something more at the 4 spot. Like they're looking for an upgrade at the 4. They're looking into Jeremy Grant for some reason, even though who knows if he's better than Harrison Barnes. They're obviously been involved with the Simmons talks, and so
also, like I think you're doing a good job of analyzing this deal. Something else that pops up to me is the Kobe White, because I feel like they're kind of Davion Mitchell, Halliburton, and Fox. Like I feel like where would Kobe fit in terms of on that roster? Like I guess you could play Kobe off the bench with Davion, I guess.
See, where I think that Vooch deal could make more sense, Vooch would be really, really good next to Ben Simmons, right? So if the Kings are swapping out their roster and they're trading Fox and let's say Buddy Hield and getting Simmons back, now you've got Tyrese Halliburton, Ben Simmons, and Vooch.
Yeah,
like that's a nice trio there that kind of meshes offensively and defensively. That could make more sense as far as them getting some value out of that. But Vooch is also older, so I know the Kings want to make the playoffs this season, so maybe they're more focused on the short term and they'd be more into that. But I don't think that I ultimately don't think that that the Kings would entertain that. So, but that's a fun idea.
Yeah.
If you want to get crazy, which I know you do. If you want to get crazy, let's talk about this trade from our guy Jordan Gilty. So this one is interesting. If I can pull it up here, 1 second.
I see a question from Torian.
Please ask. My comments aren't working really well. Like they're not functioning. So if you see any comments, please pull them up.
Yeah, he says, Torian says, why can't Vucevic play this way when Lonzo is in the lineup? And did you have anything to say about this question before I say anything?
No, go for it.
I think for me, when it comes to Lonzo, I think Lonzo is one of the best players on this team in terms of recognizing mismatches. I think the biggest thing right now for Vooch is he's just making shots. Like I think people, and here's the deal. I see people say that like Vucevic plays better on defense when he's making shots, when he's on offense. And I think people need to go back and watch tape because, weirdly enough, I think his defense has been one of the most consistent things in his game this year when it comes to like playing and drop and being engaged. Even when there have been games when he hasn't shot the ball well, but he was still playing good defense, in terms of what you can expect out of Vooch. But like, I don't think I think the biggest difference is he's making shots, and also they're actually looking to get him touches in the post now, and he's now being more aggressive. He's not like, he's making passes out of the post, but I think now for the most part, he's attacking when he has the ball in his hand in the post now. I think he's a little bit more confident in himself in terms of offensively around the basket now. But for me, I think it's as simple as he's just making shots now. Because I think Lonzo, when he's on the floor with Vooch, he's one of the, best at finding mismatches right away. So I think it's just him making shots.
I agree with you. I do think some of the easy shots that Vooch has been getting from Ayo is a testament to the different styles of Ayo and Lonzo as far as getting Vooch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Vooch is much more pick and pop with Lonzo. When Ayo gets downhill, Ayo's really good when he gets downhill, and he's finding Vooch sometimes on these little pocket passes and things. So I think that style. You're just going to get a different shot diet with different people setting you up in some respects. But I do think a lot of it is Vooch just making shots. Like, there's no question that Vooch has had easy shots all year, whether it was Lonzo or DeMar, whoever was setting him up.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do think, we've seen the last few games with Ayo setting him up and getting downhill, he's able to get Vooch some kind of dump off passes for
Mm-hmm.
easy dunks and layups and things. But Vooch was also missing a lot of those short passes early in the year when he was getting them. So Lonzo doesn't get too far into the teeth of the defense when he's in pick and roll. So he doesn't give Vooch a lot of those shots, but he was getting him elbow jumpers. Like they would run that little pick and roll where Vooch would kind of pop out to the elbow on one side or the other for an open elbow jumper, and he just wasn't making them. So
I think you know what, Chris, that is a damn good point in terms of,
why, thank you.
Ayo getting deeper into the teeth of the defense, because there's something that I like. I put a clip out yesterday after the Bulls game. Like, Ayo he's like kind of not reckless, but he does a really good job of really attacking downhill when he's coming off a screen. And I think when you attack that hard going downhill, you draw defense just because you look like you're about to score, so you get that natural instinct for defense having to step up, and he does a really good job. Not only does he make good decisions, but Ayo makes quick decisions. So he really makes you pay right away. So yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. That was a great point, bro.
Hey, Jordan, what's up, brother? What's funny? I know you're late. I know we came earlier because we're trying to accommodate with Steph. We wanted Steph on, and he couldn't do it a little later. But we were just getting to your trade idea. I'm pulling it up right now, in fact. This is from Jordan Guilty. This trade idea. Pascal Siakam comes to the Bulls. Vooch and Patrick Williams go to the Raptors. I know the Raptors are looking for a center. I don't think Vooch is necessarily the style of center that they're probably looking for with the way that they've constructed their team.
Yeah.
But from a value play, Siakam is really, really good. He should, if he hadn't missed the first month or so of the season, and if he played the way he's been playing the last month or two, if he played that way the whole season, I think he would have gotten the All-Star nod over Tatum, and he'd probably get it over, as an injury replacement. He still might. But Siakam's really good. And I know there were rumblings in the offseason that this kind of that a Siakam for Patrick Williams kind of deal might have been on the table.
This would hurt my soul. It really would, man. And shout out Guilty, brother. I appreciate you coming in, man. This dude has been down with us since before we even started this podcast, man. So him and Salim and Dan, shout out everybody else that was kind of telling us like, yo, y'all should do a pod, man. And appreciate y'all, dog. But like, this would hurt my soul because I am a huge Vooch guy, right? And I am a huge Pat guy. And sending both of them out at the same damn time would hurt my soul. All right. I know Pascal coming he's a two-way guy. He could play defensively, offensively, he's herky-jerky, but like, oh man. Oh, it's a good, I don't even know what to say, man. Like coming in with Pascal, like Pascal coming back in that deal. Obviously, I mean, him coming here and being the 4.
You got to find another trade. I think you'd have to make that trade like Kobe in the first,
Yeah.
to get Pirtle or something.
Yes.
But Siakam
My
and Pirtle
goodness.
would be, my goodness.
Yes.
What a front court would that be?
Hey, hey, Zach and DeBron, don't worry about it. We got it.
Hey, you know what's funny? That was actually my idea that I'd written before I saw Guilty's, and I told him because Guilty's texted or tweeted at me this deal, and I was like, dude, I did the exact same thing like 2 minutes before you sent me this, which was this deal, but I added a 2027 first to it to try and incentivize them a little bit more, and then the Pirtle deal, which is Pirtle for Kobe and our Portland first this year. So that was the deal that I kind of thought, like, if you're gonna just redo this thing so where you're gonna be in contention the next few years, you know, that would be a move to get you there. So we're running out of time a little bit. Oh, Jeremy had a great question here. So, you know, I don't see the Bulls doing a trade that will mess with their chemistry. They do have really, really good chemistry this year. Yeah. And so I agree that it's probably unlikely that they're going to make a big move, especially with all the injuries and the fact that the deal that made the most sense, which was Jeremy Grant, I don't think that's going to pan out because of what Jeremy Grant wants for his next team. Not only the offensive role that he wants, but also he wants that extension. And I just don't think the Bulls should and would pay that. So I do think they're going to do something a little bit more. I think they're moving bench players. Yeah. I don't think they're moving starters to me, and I don't think they're moving Pat. I think they may move Kobe, but I think they're going to try and use that Portland. If they're going to upgrade, they're going to try and bring in, you know, some of these smaller moves that we've talked about, right? Like Maxi Kleba or Sean Holmes or Slow-Mo, those kind of guys. I think kind of that's what we'll see a little bit more.
Yeah. And the cool thing about like what you get, the feeling you get from the Bulls is I feel like there are like front office coach dynamics where like the GM doesn't talk to the coach. He just makes a deal and like, hey, you figure it out. You know, like we got this guy in. We think it's good value. We don't care what you got to say. Figure it out. Right. But I think there's like this really great dynamic between Billy and the front office that like they're going to try to get guys that Billy believes is going to come in and not hurt this team, be able to run the things that he wants to run. So I don't think we have to worry about getting guys that have, you know, bad character that are going to come in and mess with things. I think they're going to really do a good job of collaborating together. And, you know, bringing in guys that will help this team right away but also not mess with the dynamic of what this team has right now.
Yeah, I agree. I got another trade. We're running out of time, unfortunately, because of the time that it's at. It's, you know, I got to put my kids to bed in a little bit, but I did have another trade. So I'm going to try and get to this one. Our guy, Clayton Conness, I think it's Conness, but we've talked with Clayton a few different times. He's a really cool guy and a supporter, so appreciate you. He has a trade with the Pelicans, actually.
Oh,
which is interesting. Which I thought was interesting. Which was, one second. I think it is. I'm just going to try and pull it up here, and it's Jackson Hayes coming to the Bulls and a second-round pick, their second-round pick this year for Kobe White. I know that the Pelicans are interested in a shooting guard. They've been linked to a bunch of different dudes. They've been linked to basically every shooting guard that's available in the market. Jackson Hayes is a young big. He's shown a lot of promise.
Yeah,
I think he was drafted was he in the same draft as Kobe or the one right after?
It might
the same as Kobe.
Yeah.
I think he went a few spots later, but he's shown a lot of promise in some ways. I think Kobe's a better player than him right now, which is why Clayton's got him sending us a second-round pick as well.
Yeah.
But I think the Pelicans are going to be looking to upgrade their roster around Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
But what do you think about this one, sir? And I'm gonna start pulling up a different one because I got another really funny one.
I think like you said before, I think if you're going to make this deal, which again, like I think he's someone that's athletic on the defensive end, like I think he's gotten a little bit better, but I think if you look at the development of a Kobe and Io, I think bringing in a guy like him that can get under this development team, maybe he grows into something a little bit more than he is now. But like you said before, I think you would have to, be trying to move TBJ as well and bringing in, somebody that could fill that off the bench spot that Kobe would be leaving.
Yeah, I agree. And I have this. I love this trade. We're going to end on this trade.
Okay.
Because it's phenomenal.
Holy.
You want to get real funky with it. The Bulls received Zion Williamson and Jackson Hayes in return for Kobe White and Patrick Williams. This was submitted by Abraham Ditka. I hope that's your last name, because that's amazing. But this trade is funny because here's the thing: Zion Williamson's health has been really bad, but when he's played at like a top 20 level.
Dominant.
He's been dominant offensively. I mean. So you're giving up Patrick Williams and Kobe White for Jackson Hayes and Zion Williamson. I mean, I think the Bulls in a vacuum do that. I don't know if the Bulls would say yes this year because they want to compete this year. But Patrick's not giving them anything either. So who knows? I'm not sure who's coming back sooner. I think Zion may be out for the year, but we're waiting on the next press conference, I guess.
I mean, like you said, in a vacuum, I mean, like, how can you say no to bringing in Zion? But my goodness, man.
Ricardo's right. Yeah, I know Steph DM'd us and because he saw this Zion trade and he's like, "Are we gonna go over this on the show?" I'm like, man, we gotta talk about this. So Ricardo, you're right. Yeah, he did chime in just offline, but he thought it was hilarious. But this would be a really funny trade. It's such weird timing for the Bulls, but as far as the talent play, like Zion is incredible. And I would probably move Kobe and Patrick for Zion. I mean, like, not probably, I would. It's just a weird timing. Like I'd rather have Kobe and Pat this season, but Zion Williamson is, he has the potential to be an all-time great if he stays healthy. The health has obviously been a really, really big issue. So it's a huge gamble. But it's also a huge gamble on Patrick Williams' talent. So interesting trade idea. It's completely wacky. I think the Pelicans, unless David Griffin is trying to get fired, which so far he's trying to get fired a lot by the stuff the moves that he's made. Thank you once again for Lonzo Ball. Appreciate it.
For real.
I think he would absolutely get fired if he offered this trade.
Unreal.
But the Bulls would do it. I think the Bulls would do it.
Zion wants to get out of there anyway. So.
Oh, Ricardo, this was you? I love this, man. This is hilarious. Appreciate this trade. This is great.
Seriously, man. This was fun, man. Just seeing everybody's different ideas in terms of what they think can help the Bulls. Like, it's really cool. It's really cool.
And so thank you guys so much for the submissions. I know we got a few more submissions. Some of them were really similar to ones we'd already talked about. So I did want to give a shout out to Big O because he also had a John Collins trade that also had Jeremy Grant going to the Hawks, and then the Pistons getting Patrick Williams. So that was kind of like a similar vein. That was a really cool trade. Furious Jeff had a Rashawn Holmes trade, but kind of very similar. We got Rashawn Holmes and Terrence Davis. We gave up Tony, the two TBJs, Matt, and the Portland first. And then Brad Childers had a kind of another Trez trade where we got Trez and Rui in exchange for DJ, Jay, and Kobe, which that was an interesting trade.
That is interesting.
And he had another one where the Bulls get Mike Muscala for the Portland first. So another Mike Muscala, bringing him in trade. So that was interesting. And then Ryan Sharm had a trade where Bulls got Batum and Hartenstein. I would love that because Isaiah Hartenstein's been killing it this year. Dude. He was the guy I wanted as a backup this year too. And the Clippers get our Portland first, which I think would be. I would do that trade. Personally.
Yeah.
I would
Yes.
do that trade. I don't think the Clippers would, but I don't know. We'll see. Because I think Batum's got a player option next year, which he should decline to be a free agent. So that one actually, maybe they do take the first for that. And it's a fake first, but maybe they do that. So those are the ones that we got. So I did want to shout you guys out and talk, just put your trades up, but I didn't have time to put them on the screen and have like a real long discussion. But there was kind of, some overlap on that discussion. But you're right, Larro. I mean, the trades that were brought up really make you think about what the Bulls should be targeting and the myriad of options I think that are really out there. I think the Bulls are in a really good position if they want to make a trade at the deadline. Yeah. A lot of teams are looking to be sellers, to be buyers, and there's some guys that may be available. So
one thing that we've learned,
Salim, look at this guy. Salim saying, I love how Chris and Larro are approaching this design trade like a serious conversation. I'm just saying, you don't have to think the trade's going to go down to be able to have a conversation about the values at stake and where the teams are. But no, I think the design would be, the design's not coming here. There's no way that David Griffin's offering that to us.
that might be when Silver does his best David Stern impression in terms of Xing out a trade. But what was I going to say?
I'm sorry, I totally railroaded.
No. Is gosh, I forgot what I was going to say, man. Oh, the one thing that we have learned about AK, other than the Lonzo Ball, which he was linked to us for years, I feel like, but all these rumors, about who the Bulls are looking at, blah blah blah. Like, we don't know. Like, AK is someone that moves in silence, and we'll probably be surprised if something happens, So I'm that's one of the kind of the cool things about this front office, man. It's suspenseful, baby. Like, you're just like, trade deadline, you're like, okay, what's happening? Who we getting? So I can't wait.
And to be honest, because we did this when we did a mock off season thing with Stephen Noh, and I thought we had great ideas. And Mark, AK and Mark blew our stuff out of the water. Like, I had an optimistic trade.
Yeah.
Remember, I had like we're gonna get Lonzo.
Yep.
And I said, but we might have to take on Eric Bledsoe to get that contract. He's gonna be our backup point. Like, and we got like it was either Danny Green or no, it was Reggie Bullock. Reggie Bullock came in a small forward for us.
Yep.
Like, that would have been a nice team,
Yeah.
But AK just blew it out of the water. So I'm actually, as you said, it's exciting to see what they're going to do, because they're going to pull like Kuzma and Rashawn Holmes out of their hat somehow for like Troy Brown Jr. and a song. I don't know how they're going to do it. But I trust this front office to do something fun. So yeah, it'll be really exciting. The trade deadline is in, I think, 4 or 5 days, depending on where you live in the world. February 10th. I will not be able to do a live thing on the trade deadline if anything happens. Try to react to news on Twitter, but we'll have our show next Saturday as planned, and we'll talk about everything that went on. And this was dope. This was really fun. Thank you guys all so much for your submissions.
Yeah.
And anything you want to say, Larry, before we sign off here?
I'm probably going to be a little bit more active in terms of after games, just kind of doing my own little thread about what the Bulls have been doing and things like that. I kind of feel like I fell off a bit, so I'm going to try to get back into that. But other than that, man, not really, man. That's about it. Ready to see Philly, see what happens.
Ooh, that's going to be a tough game. Joel Embiid has never lost to the Bulls in his career. Not a single time. Never lost. Never lost. That's right. So that'll be really exciting. I have a feeling it's going to be a really defenseless shootout for the Bulls. Hopefully everyone's on fire that day. Anyways, thank you guys so much for sticking around. We'll catch you again next week. Peace out.
Peace.